In the small town of Mopa, Abeni's parents were overjoyed when she gained admission into Olufemi Girls' Secondary School in Asejo City. They had great hopes for her, believing that with a good education, she would rise above poverty and bring honor to their family. Her parents, Baba and Mama Abeni, were simple farmers from Mopa Village, and though they didn't have much, they sacrificed everything to ensure she had the best. At school, Abeni was bright, respectful, and full of promises. But everything changed when she met Zainab and Hannatu. Unlike her, they were from wealthy families and cared little about education. They wore beautiful and expensive clothes, carried designer bags. Abeni wondered how they were able to acquire all those things as students. One day, as they became closer as friends, they introduced Abeni to a world of fun, parties, and freedom. Instead of attending classes, Abeni began sneaking off with them to Ilorin town, where they attended wild parties. At first she felt guilty, but soon she got addicted to the lifestyle. The loud music, expensive clothes, and the attention from rich older men. Her parents noticed the changes. She stopped coming home for the holidays, always giving excuses. When they visited her at school, she looked different. She dressed in tight clothes, wore makeup, and spoke with an air of arrogance. They warned her, begged her to focus on her studies, but she just laughed and said, "Mama, times have changed. You don't understand city life," she would say. "Mama, Papa, don't worry, I know what I am doing." But Abeni was walking on a dangerous path. Soon she became pregnant. The father, she wasn't even sure of. Zainab and Hannatu told her not to worry. "There's a woman in Mopa town who can help you get rid of it," Hannatu whispered. And she did. The first time, she cried afterward the abortion, but by the second and third, she felt nothing. Her studies suffered. She skipped classes, failed her exams, but she didn't care. The parties became her life. She moved in with a rich businessman who promised her luxury, but when she got pregnant again, he disappeared, abandoning her. Abeni's health began to decline. The repeated abortions had weakened her, but she refused to stop. One evening, after yet another backstreet procedure, she collapsed by the roadside. A woman passing by called an ambulance, and she was rushed to the hospital. Her parents received the heartbreaking news. Their only daughter, their pride, was hospitalized. Her mother wailed uncontrollably. Her father, usually a strong man, was broken. And Zainab and Hannatu, they moved on as if nothing had happened. At the next party in Asejo town, they laughed, danced, and found another girl to introduce to their dirty world. Abeni lay weak on the small hospital bed in Mopa City General Hospital. The illegal abortion had almost cost her life. The doctor, an elderly woman named Dr. Deo, shook his head in disappointment. "Young lady, do you know how lucky you are to be alive? If you continue like this, you won't survive the next time." Abeni turned her face away, ashamed. Her body was weak, her soul even weaker. Her so-called friends, Zainab and Hannatu, had promised to visit, but they never came. The rich men she partied with were nowhere to be found. She was alone. 3 days later, as a nurse was adjusting her hand drip, the door creaked open. Abeni's heart sank when she saw her parents. Baba Abeni looked older, his once strong frame now thin from stress. Mama Abeni sat near her crying uncontrollably. "My daughter, look at what you have done to yourself," she wailed. Baba Abeni said nothing. He only sighed, shaking his head. "Let's go home, Abeni," he finally said. "There is still time for you to change." Tears welled in Abeni's eyes. She wanted to go home. She wanted to run into her mother's arms and cry out all the pain in her heart. But something inside her resisted. "Baba, I don't know if I can change," she whispered. "You can, my daughter," Mama Abeni said firmly. "Come back home. Leave this life before it destroys you completely." After being discharged, Abeni returned to Mopa Village with her parents. Life was peaceful there. She helped her mother on the farm, listened to Baba Abeni's wise words, and even started attending church again. But the memories of Asajo town still haunted her. One evening a message arrived from Zainab. "Abeni, we miss you. There's a big party in Sunrise Hotel this weekend. You know you belong here. Don't waste your life in that boring village." Abeni stared at the message. The music, the excitement, the rich men, everything she used to enjoy was calling her back. Would she listen to her parents and stay in Mopa Village to rebuild her life? Or would she return to Asajo town, knowing it could lead to her destruction? Abeni was at a crossroads. The choice was hers. Abeni sat on the wooden bench outside her parents' house in Mopa Village, staring at her phone. The message from Zainab kept flashing in her mind. She had spent weeks in the village trying to heal, but she still felt restless. The slow pace of life, the farm work, and the constant reminders from her mother about becoming a good woman made her feel suffocated. She thought about the parties, the money, the excitement. But then she remembered the cold hospital bed, the pain, the loneliness. That night she couldn't sleep. The temptation to return to Asajo town was strong. She picked up her phone and texted Zainab. "I will think about it." The next morning, Mama Abeni noticed her daughter's troubled face. "My daughter, what is bothering you?" she asked. Abeni hesitated. "Mama, what if I don't belong here? What if my life is meant for something bigger?" Mama Abeni sighed deeply and sat beside her. "Abeni, do you think those girls care about you? Where were they when you were in the hospital? Where were the men who gave you money?" Abeni lowered her head. "They didn't come." "Exactly," her mother said. "They only care about you when you are useful to them. But we, your family, we love you no matter what." Tears filled Abeni's eyes. That evening she made a decision. She blocked Zainab's number and told her parents she was ready to change. Baba Abeni, who had been silent all this time, smiled for the first time in months. "I have spoken to Mr. Ade, and he found a training school in a large city where you can learn a skill. If you are serious, you can go and start afresh," he said. Abeni nodded, determined. "I want to try, Baba." The day before she was to leave for a large city, a motorcycle stopped in front of the house. It was Hannatu, dressed in expensive clothes, looking as glamorous as ever. "Abeni, so you really want to waste your life in this village? Look at you. You used to be the queen of Asajo town. Now you want to go to some boring school." Abeni felt the old excitement rise in her chest. She looked at Hannatu's gold jewelry, her designer handbag, and her expensive perfume. "I can take you back right now," Hannatu whispered. "Just say the word." For a moment Abeni was tempted. But then she remembered the pain, the regret, and the love in her parents' eyes. She thought about the future she could build if she stayed strong. She took a deep breath and shook her head. "No, Hannatu. I have made my choice." Hannatu scoffed. "Suit yourself. But don't come crying when you realize how boring life is." She sped off on the motorcycle, leaving a cloud of dust behind. Abeni turned back toward the house. Mama Abeni was standing in the doorway, smiling proudly. "You did well, my daughter." Abeni smiled for the first time in a long time. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time, she felt hopeful knowing that no matter how far someone falls, they can always rise again, if they are willing to change. Abeni arrived in a large city with a small bag of clothes and a heart full of determination. Baba Abeni had arranged for her to stay with Mama Titi, an old family friend who ran a small tailoring shop. "You will start as an apprentice," Mama Titi said warmly. "But if you work hard, you can learn enough to start your own business one day." For the first time in years, Abeni had structure. She woke up early, swept the shop, learned how to sew, and helped customers. At night, she read books about business and personal growth. It wasn't easy. Sometimes she missed the fast life, the quick money, the excitement. But she reminded herself of where that life had led her. One day, as she was closing the shop, she heard a familiar voice. Abeni! She turned and gasped. It was Zainab, but she looked different. She was thin, her skin pale, her once glamorous clothes now faded. What happened to you? Abeni asked in shock. Zainab forced a smile. Life happened. After you left, things changed. Hannatu got arrested for drug trafficking, and some of the men we used to party with disappeared. I was left with nothing. Abeni felt a pang of sadness. Come with me, she said. There's still hope for you. Zainab hesitated. Do you really think I can change? If I could, so can you, Abeni said firmly. Months passed, and Abeni flourished. She completed her training, saved enough money, and opened her own small tailoring shop. She even started mentoring young girls, warning them about the dangers of the life she once lived. One day, as she was working, her parents arrived, their faces beaming with pride. You have made us proud, Abeni, Baba Abeni said, his eyes shining. Tears filled Abeni's eyes. She had come so close to losing everything, her life, her family, her future. But now she stood tall, a woman who had faced her demons and won. As she hugged her parents, she knew one thing for sure. Her past did not define her. Her choices did, showing that no matter how lost you are, you can always find your way back, if you have the courage to change. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this beautiful story, please drop a like on the video and leave a comment on your favorite part of the story, moral lessons and so on. Also share the story with your friends and family. It has not been easy getting here, but I really appreciate all of you who watched the story to the end. Please on your notification and do subscribe to my channel, Folktales by Queen Mother, so you get notified anytime a new and interesting story is released. Thank you.